WJLA 24/7 News on your side. This is a breaking news alert.
I'm meteorologist Jordan Evans. We are interrupting programming now as we are tracking a new tornado warning. This is going to be for western sides of Montgomery County, but quickly approaching I-270, Clarksburg to Germantown. Control room, let's switch to Max 2 because that will give us a live view of the storm. You will see the rotation on the leading edge of the storm. As you can see, the curvature in that line. This is the area we're watching. You can see that lowering there. So you've got the rain curtain on this side. If there is a tornado on the ground, it's going to be rain wrapped, but at this time, no ground confirmation. But the leading side of that tornado warning, that is going to be for this spot. This is from Germantown looking west. Interstate 270 is down here on the bottom of the screen, and this is quickly approaching the areas of Clarksburg to Germantown at this time. So that tornado warning will go until noon to 12:15 p.m. I'm going to step off camera for a second so I can drive the radar and show you again where exactly the storm is going. You can see the gusty winds now approaching Highway 117 just south of Highway 270. That's approaching the Germantown area as the storm quickly races east at highway speed, about 50 to 55 miles per hour. Adam's joining us here soon. We do have information from him about Montgomery County schools. Adam, when you're ready to chime in, just let me know and I'll send it over to you.
Jordan, let's get into that right now.
Yeah,
so Montgomery County Schools, in anticipation of the weather today, was set to release early. So the high schools were set to dismiss here coming up at noon. The middle schools at 12:30, the elementary schools beginning at 12:55. So where we're seeing this tornado warning box, it looks like it would include Northwest High School, Clarksburg High School, and Poolsville. Does that look about right to you? And what's your advice for those schools that are in that area?
I would say the schools keep the kids inside, away from the windows. We've got the tornado warning, so what that means, interior room, as many walls between you and the outside as possible, sturdy structure, lowest floor as well. If the school has a basement, that's the best spot. Otherwise, interior bathrooms, no windows. Wait for the storm to pass. If we don't get the tornado, which is what we obviously want, but we are going to get the gusty winds with the leading edge of the storm. So that's why even if we don't have the tornado, Adam, staying away from the windows, because we've seen some of these storms potentially blow out windows before. Any high rises in this area, you know, we've got a lot of office buildings on I-270 from Germantown to Gaithersburg. Come down to that lowest floor of the building, or at least go into an interior room on your office floor away from the windows, because the higher up you go, that's where the winds can be stronger. You can see the radar trying to estimate some of these wind gusts 65 to 70 miles per hour. This is that area of rotation we're watching now. At this time, Eileen, it's still radar indicated, not seeing anything on the ground, but we are watching the camera closely. I'm going to pull up the Germantown camera one more time. We are watching the leading edge of the storm, and that's where we're watching, again, the area of rotation as it continues to race to the east.
And we do not want people, Jordan and Eileen, we do not want people to draw a distinction between a radar-indicated tornado and something that's actually been spotted. They need to act now as if there's an active tornado on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the steps of tornado warnings. A red polygon, that means radar indicated. Nothing is on the ground, but anything can change quickly. I've worked in the plains for a few years. I've seen these warnings come and go quickly. Tornadoes can touch down within minutes. They can lift back up within minutes as well. So that's what we're watching again on the Germantown camera. Eileen, are you ready to show the radar at all for a little bit?
Yeah, exactly. No, the thing that I wanted to focus on kind of first is kind of show a bigger picture. So of course, yes, we do have that tornado warning in Montgomery County. These are the areas, I mean, shelter in place, just stay put, find yourself, you know, in an interior
it was just extended
room.
Now.
You were just saying what, Jordan?
It was just extended down, that new warning.
Okay, so
look where that is exactly. That's going to cross Interstate 270. So anyone who is planning to head out, if you know anybody who is on the road headed towards that area right now, get them on the phone, call them and tell them to divert. So this is 270 between about Gaithersburg and Clarksburg. Looks like that might include, it's well south of Hyattstown. So that's that northern part of Montgomery County. We want people off of the roads there.
Yeah, so where you see that circle on your screen, control room, let's take the super off just real quick because I do want to show the circle here. That's the rotation just south of Germantown. Looks like we're about to cross I-270. Clouds are spinning, nothing's on the ground at this time. Please do not try to go out and look at it. Be in that safe zone, interior room between as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And look at the track of this thing as it goes all the way up toward Damascus. So Damascus, remember, storm's moving at highway speed. So you only have about 5 or 10 minutes, Damascus, to get in your safe zone. Again, that's going to be that lowest floor interior room. Crossing I-270, Eileen, I'm going to pull up the Germantown camera again and see if we can get an idea of this rotation.
And I was going to say, so moving towards the northeast, so intersecting 270 up around Damascus, all also heads up around the Lisbon area as well, kind of along Interstate 70 as you get closer to the Mount Airy area. As we kind of zoom out to show you the bigger picture here, I just wanted to give you a bigger perspective of what we're looking at and what we're going to be experiencing for the rest of the day today. So this is a far-reaching storm system. On the backside of the system, we have snow, very dynamic ingredients in place in the atmosphere. If you've been outside today, you've noticed how windy it is. We have those really strong southerly winds at the surface, and we have more westerly winds aloft, and so that's really helping to kind of give us a little bit of that rotation. So right now, Montgomery County, that is our sweet spot, if you will. You can see there are 2 active tornado warnings that will remain in effect here through noon, so for at least another 20 minutes, and I don't know what our computer system is doing here. But anyways, we are seeing these moving very rapidly, and even just some of the cameras that we've seen as well, Jordan, you know, this isn't maybe necessarily like what you would see in the plains. You know, sometimes these are more rain wrapped. And
I mean, these things spin up quickly. You've got warm air out ahead of it. You've got the winds at 5,000 feet going a different direction, so that causes the air to spin. There's the rotation now, just crossing over I-270. Eileen, this is actually passing right on top of our Germantown camera. So I'm going to quickly pull this up and let's just see if we can see anything out there. Nothing is on the ground at this time. You can see those low rings in the clouds. So Interstate 270 is over here out to the right. If we have anything that's spinning, it's going to be in this vicinity here, passing just to the south of Germantown. Nothing on the ground at this time, but be ready because something could drop quickly. It could lift quickly. We'll likely not see the tornado if it does not touch down, but we will get, Eileen, or these gusty winds, 55 to 60 miles per hour. We've already seen some reports out of Loudoun County of some trees coming down just south of Highway 15, west of Leesburg. Now that storm's crossed the Potomac, same lines moving through Montgomery County now, and we can see the heavy rain and the low visibility starting to move through. Adam, any more updates on schools for Montgomery County?
I want to get back as soon as we can to that radar picture because
let's get that now.
To your point of these storms moving at highway speed, I mean, it would look like, you know, at least Clarksburg High School is under the gun of where this squall line is right here as the storms are just about to pass over 270. So I'm hoping that all of the administrators and teachers there are doing their due diligence and getting kids to the safest part of the school. To your point, also, that will be in a straight line with Damascus. So the Damascus High School zone and the surrounding elementary schools and middle schools would also be the next target of this storm, in addition to obviously those areas that are through there. And this warning, Jordan, extends until when?
This is going until noon time. So noon local time, top of the hour. You mentioned Clarksburg. Rotation is right on top of Clarksburg right now, moving quickly, highway speed. So Damascus, you have about 5 or 10 minutes until rotation approaches your community. Yeah,
and you think about this because of the fact that Montgomery County Schools was set to release early today, so they were set to release at noon, which means all the buses are lined up outside of those schools right now waiting to take kids that are hopefully inside right now. The middle school is not set to release until coming up at about 12:30, the elementary schools at 12:55. So this is just a hunker down immediately, and if you're at home watching us right now, you know somebody who's out, call them. Let them know the situation. Tell them to pull up information on whatever weather app they have on their phone, hopefully ours, that will give them the most updated information. But where do you see inside of this box? Is the entire box the most concerning part? Like, where would you say literally at this instant, Jordan, is the part that we would be most concerned about?
Yeah, well, that's important because stuff's changing instantly, as you mentioned. So west of 270, we're now in the clear from rotation. You still have the tornado warning technically, so let's wait till that warning gets trimmed to come out of your safe zone. But east of 270 now, good news is rotation has broadened out some, but it's still there. It's still tight over Clarksburg, approaching Damascus. So if I'm in Clarksburg to Damascus, even all the way up to the Howard County line, that's where you want to be in your safe zone. Even as far south as this is going to be just north of Laytonsville and Etchison, and then we can see all the way down to Gaithersburg too.
I would say the fortunate part about this at this point is this storm moving from Clarksburg to Damascus. You don't have this tightly packed suburban area once this storm system gets past Clarksburg, but then certainly folks in Damascus are going to want to figure out what their safe place is to get to as soon as possible, because with that storm system headed that way, with them inside of the tornado warning box, they have just moments to be able to get to that safe space and seek shelter.
Yeah, and some good news to help confirm, Adam, that there's no tornado on the ground is the debris tracker. technical term for this is correlation coefficient. It looks for objects inside of the radar, or it looks for objects inside of the storm that's not rain and not hailstones. So what we would see to look for rotation would be a big giant blue ball. And the good news is I'm not seeing any of that here where that rotation is on top of Clarksburg. So what that means, clouds are just spinning, nothing's on the ground at this time. But if we can still get enough warm air out ahead of this line, that could be enough to tighten things up and get a tornado on the ground. So again, safe zone, be there until the warning expires.
That is great news. Of course, we don't mean to be and we don't want to be alarmist here, but when we have a tornado warning, that is your cue to seek shelter, whether there is damage on the ground that has been noted, whether there's a visual confirmation of a tornado or not. This is when we need you to step inside and be safe. But Jordan, the atmosphere more broadly, not only for Montgomery County, but for the rest of the entire DMV, could be ripe for this same situation to play out repeatedly as we go through the afternoon.
Yeah, and in fact, I think Eileen's going to talk about maybe what's to come here later this afternoon, but you're right. This is just round one. This is helping to work the atmosphere some. Behind it, of course, we've got clearing from the rain, but the question is, can we get some sun to appear? If we can get the sun out there, that's going to help recharge the atmosphere for round two that comes in later tonight. Eileen, looks like we have a new tornado warning now, so do you want to touch base on that one by Frederick?
Exactly. So that was just coming in now, and that will last until noon, and that is going to be for Carroll and Frederick County. And we're going to see these kind of coming down the line, throughout the rest of the day. So even, maybe once you're kind of in the clear, don't think that, you're completely done with it. Here's our live radar right now that does show that. That is just to the south and east of the city of Frederick. So this is going to be nearing the Woodville and Johnsonville area. And again, a lot of heavy rain, enough rotation in these cells that we could see, a quick brief spin up tornado. And sometimes, the rotation kind of goes away and then it comes back again as the atmosphere is very dynamic. But now this is moving towards the east of 15. So Thurmont, you're about to be in some better news. But this polygon here is where we're seeing the potential. So that does include Oak Orchard, New Windsor, Westminster as well, a little bit farther away. But I did want to zoom out as well for those of you that are watching in other parts of the area. We are seeing some clusters of heavy rain still in north and western Montgomery County around the Poolsville area, but that warning I think has since expired. But we do have at the moment 2 active tornado warnings, one in northern Montgomery County around the Damascus area until noon, and then another one in Frederick County, especially south and eastern Frederick County, where we're seeing, again, some of the heavy rain, a lot of thunder and lightning. And this is just going to continue through the rest of the afternoon. If you go outside, you're going to notice, it feels warm, it feels humid. So we have the ingredients in place. We have this strong cold front. And again, damaging winds. Even outside of severe thunderstorms, we could see damaging wind gusts in excess of about 60 miles per hour.
All right,
Adam?
Eileen, listen, I want you to keep the radar up. I'd like to keep focused on that area where the tornado warning boxes are, but we're going to check in now live with 7 News reporter Tom Rousey, who's on the roads in Montgomery County. Tom, I understand you're somewhere around the Rockville area. If you can hear me, if we're able to hear you, looks like we're just hearing tone right now. But Tom, can you just set the situation for us? All right, looks like it's going to take another second before we can establish communications with Tom. Whenever we get him, just bring up his mic, have him start talking. Eileen, let's focus in on these areas where it looks like the tornado warning boxes may have changed slightly. To Jordan's point a second ago, where it seems like west of I-270 is in the clear, it looks like they have reduced the size of that tornado warning box. Is that what I'm seeing, Eileen?
Correct, yes. So it looks like we still have that severe thunderstorm warning, Jordan, for eastern portions of Montgomery County. That will remain in effect, and all of this again moving quickly towards the north and east, but we're still seeing some heavy rain. Again, this is approaching Gaithersburg, Rockville as well, so if we do get to hear from Tom.
He's on the line right now, Eileen.
Okay.
Tom, we can hear you. Go ahead. Where are you in Rockville exactly? What are you seeing out there?
Sorry, do you guys hear me okay now? It's Tom.
You're very low.
So we were just turning off Goody Drive.
Okay, we'll have to pull the plug on this because we're having some audio issues with Tom. They're going to get those audio issues fixed. We're going to go back to him just as soon as we can. Jordan?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if we can go back to Max 2 with me here. I'll show you the live view from Frederick, Maryland. So this is looking back to the east at that rotating storm. Eileen, the rotation is most impressive on this cell now instead of the one Montgomery County. Montgomery County storm, that's going to expire within 9 to 8 minutes. West of 270 is in the clear, so now we're just watching Damascus, but this is also that next warned storm outside of Frederick, Maryland. Looking back to the east, if we see rotation, it's going to be in this vicinity here. This is now east of town, so it's going to be leaving Frederick, Maryland, crossing into Carroll County once the storm continues to move farther east at highway speed. Once we get through that storm, fortunately, this line will be starting to clear northern sections of the metro. Now, D.C., southern Fairfax County, then eventually Prince George's County, we have the second half of this line to come through. The good news is that the second half of this line, as I show you farther to the south, we don't have any warnings on this. So at this time, this is not as intense as what we have to the north. That could still change within 5 to 10 minutes, but we'll have to watch closely. City of Fairfax, Falls Church, Alexandria, Arlington, you have about 15 to 20 minutes until the rain, maybe some thunder begins. Gusty winds around 40 to 45 miles per hour are possible. That would go for D.C. as well. And we've got College Park over to Bowie, Largo, farther south toward Andrews, and Upper Marlboro, all going to get some of the rain and the wind as this continues to move through. Also good news, no major reports for damage at this time, but I do think the National Weather Service, because they are still having to type up all of the active warnings, they'll go back through some of the reports coming in of any major damage. But based on what I'm seeing, Eileen, right now in chat room, no major trees are down, no major power outages at this time, but the day is still quite young.
It is quite young, and one thing that I'm looking at is I'm looking at the visible satellite here on Max 1, and what I'm a little bit concerned with is we have that first wave, that first line that's kind of moving through the area, but do you see a little bit of that clearing back through West Virginia and through the Shenandoah Valley? Sunshine is only going to further destabilize the atmosphere, make it even more prime for severe weather later today. So even though maybe you think, okay, we've got the severe weather, we've had our tornado warnings, the severe weather threat is not over just yet. In fact, all of the yellow here that you are seeing, that is a tornado watch. And a reminder, a warning is more severe than a watch. A watch basically means watch out, the conditions are favorable for tornadoes to develop. Where you're seeing the orange box here, that is an active severe thunderstorm warning that includes much of central and northeastern Montgomery County, eastern Frederick, up through Carroll County as well, even portions of Howard counties. And then where you're seeing the reds, that is where we are continuing to see active tornado warnings. I believe for the next 6 minutes, those should be expiring here at noon. But I mean, just some of the reflectivity and how heavy the rain is. So we're seeing some pouring rain. Of course, the damaging wind gusts, and even outside of the severe thunderstorms, we're seeing those strong winds. Yeah,
so. And at least for the D.C. Metro, the D.C. metro area, some of the worst of the weather now starting to move out of our viewing area. Baltimore will have to be watching these storms closely. In fact, this is the rotation, Eileen, on that Frederick County storm. That is quite tight. That is confirming, or at least confirming that we do have some pretty good rotation. I've checked the debris tracker. Nothing seems to be appearing at this time. National Weather Service is not indicating that there is a tornado on the ground, but when you do start to see some of these brighter pinks and even these yellows, that's indicating that the winds are doing this up aloft. So the clouds are rotating ahead of the line of rain, thunder and lightning, and then eventually some straight line winds on either side of that. That is concerning there. It will be crossing over into Carroll County here probably within minutes, and then eventually this tornado warning will likely get extended into northern Maryland. So yeah, we'll be watching this storm closely.
Listen, we are just getting some closings in that we want to announce in anticipation, and because of the weather right now, Walter Reed is closing right now to non-emergency patients. Also, the Washington Monument is closed. We have a live look here from our storm track, which is, I assume, in Rockville, that's where we find 7 News reporter Tom Rousey. Tom, before we check in with you, I just want to make sure over here, Jordan and Eileen, we just stay on the radar here until we get the tornado warning cleared out. It would appear this one that Damascus is still in the line of this storm, and then we've also got a section just to the north and west of the town of Frederick proper, and just to the due west. That we want to focus in on those areas and keep them up. But Tom, it looked a little clear where you were in Rockville. Can you sort of explain over the past half hour, have you seen weather develop, where exactly you are and where you're headed?
We're in Rockville. We were actually doing an interview with Pepco about their preparations for the storm, and now we're hopping onto 270. You are going to see it look a little different in just a moment here because we're going to head onto 270 north towards Gaithersburg, Germantown, and Clarksburg, that area. So just hang with me one moment, and you're going to see in the distance here, it does look a little different. I'm seeing what appears to be heavy rain in the distance. So this is 270 northbound. We are getting on with our tracker vehicle here, and already the rain is starting to pick up a little bit. You can see it on the windshield, but look in the distance there. That's where some of the powerful storms have been so far. So we're headed towards that, and you see the rain just picking up on your windshield as I speak here. So we're going to head to some of those areas that just had the warning and kind of see what's going on, if there's been any damage, that sort of thing. So we're headed to do that right now. But so far, where I've been, I've only seen just a little bit of rain that is increasing as we move north. The winds have not been heavy, at least to this point where we have been. But again, we're heading north into some areas that maybe saw some heavier winds. So we'll be able to let you know more shortly here, Adam.
Tom, it looked like you were probably about 7 to 10 miles to the south of where this warning was and where that strong line came through. When that line came through, so you're out doing an interview in Rockville, could you feel or see anything? Did it even rain heavily where you were?
It didn't even do that. Very light rain and a little bit of light wind. But in Rockville, where we were, and we were kind of, I guess you would say, more on the northern end of Rockville off Goody Drive, it really didn't see much at all. And that is starting to change as we head north here. But that area seems to have been largely spared so far, at least.
Looks like you're going to be here in the clear in just a moment. And Jordan, Eileen, let's bring you all back in because it goes to just how super localized these cells are that are coming through. I mean, just, 5 miles away, 7 miles away from where this tornado warning was, Tom Rousey didn't see a drop of rain in Rockville.
Yeah, and that's the nature of severe weather kind of outbreaks. We were talking about it a little bit earlier. We live in a very unique area. I mean, we have so many influences of the terrain. We have the mountains, we have the Chesapeake Bay. So many things are happening. And I say it all the time, but your First Alert weather app really is such a great resource. My watch has been going off consistently saying, that there's lightning in the area, of course, where we are, but still looking at the radar, want to give folks a heads up. Even, I know we're focusing on, Montgomery and Frederick counties right now as we continue to see still some of the heaviest rain and active warnings. But we have a pretty, heavy line of some rain moving through Fairfax and Prince William counties. And then also another cluster of some very heavy rain to the south of Culpeper. And that's all moving towards the east as well. And if I zoom out, it does look like there are more severe thunderstorm warnings farther south, kind of around the Lynchburg and Charlottesville area. But we're going to see more of these throughout the duration of the day with this tornado watch in effect through 7 o'clock.
So Eileen, we're getting ready for our noon newscast here within about 30 seconds. Good news is the tornado warning for Montgomery County, that's expiring within just 30 seconds from now. We'll watch the Frederick County tornado warning as that continues to move toward Carroll County. And then eventually we're going to get a break. We'll see round 2 start to come in by 3 or 4 o'clock. Live view from Northwest DC. This is our tower camera, a few hundred feet up. So this is one of the best views that we have of the immediate beltway looking toward the Tyson skyline. So we don't have the rain in DC just yet. But we will eventually see these dark clouds start to cross over DC. Some wind gusts anywhere from 40 to 45 miles per hour. A little bit of some rain, some lightning, but the good news for DC proper, Prince George's County, Fairfax County, no active warnings at this time. Things could change quickly, so we'll be here watching it. Producer, just let me know if we need to send it back to the anchors for our noon newscast as Megan Clark's getting ready to take over here for Adam. Eileen, still watching the clouds coming in over the Tyson skyline. In terms of the radar picture itself, I mentioned the heavy stuff now moving out of the DC metro area, really out of our viewing area, and eventually Baltimore is going to start to see this line here. This is where we could have those wind gusts 60 to 70 miles per hour in some spots, so I would not be surprised. Carroll County south to northern Montgomery County and eventually Howard County. That's where we could have some quite a bit of tree damage, maybe some power outages because the wind gusts still approaching that 60 to 65 mile per hour time frame. For the rest of DC, let me just move farther south. As I mentioned, no active warnings at this time. Fairfax getting some rain right now. Falls Church, eventually Arlington to Alexandria. There's DC proper, then Prince George's County, about 30 to 45 minutes. We're starting to approach lunchtime. If you're planning to head out for lunch, well, if you can leave now, that's a good time to get to the restaurant before the rain starts. starts, or if you can wait until 1 or 2 o'clock, wait for that rain to pass, then you at least won't get soaked outside. I'm sure a lot of those people working today, Eileen, would not like to be soaked by the rain. But again, if you can stay in the office for lunch today, that would be highly recommended as well.
Exactly. And Jordan, I'm going to interrupt you for just a moment as we have a new tornado warning that's coming in. And this is going to be for portions of Carroll and for Carroll County. So this is going to include the Uniontown, New Windsor. So this is a little bit out of our viewing area, so up around the Baltimore area now. But still, nonetheless, a lot. I mean, this particular cluster of cells that I'm seeing right now over Lisbon, you can see a little bit of a notch there, so I'm a little bit concerned with maybe some rotation there with that particular tornado warning.
Yeah, so good news, DC, we're in the clear now from the worst of the weather, just some rain, a little bit of wind coming in at this time. We're going to wrap things up here from our weather coverage. We're going to send it over to Megan Clark to start our noon newscast. Of course, Eileen, we're going to stay here at least through 1 p.m. to see how things shape up here over the next few minutes. So we'll send it to break, and we'll be back in just minutes.
This has been a breaking news alert from WJLA 24/7 News, on your side.
Oh my God, mine was not working either, and I had to redo a thing yesterday. So I've been using the Slack over here, Steve.
Yes, mic check for Megan. Mic check 1, 2, 3. Straight ahead on 7 News here at noon. We're on weather alert today.